I appreciate the chance we have to get together. Now, I don't know if there's something that we have that will help you, but I'll go through the areas that we work in. Areas such as increasing cash flow, decreasing debt, reducing taxes. We also specialize in life insurance and annuities and how they could possibly shave years off of your potential retirement date. And after that, if there's an interest on your part, I'll gather some information and we'll get back at another point and go over specifics. There's nothing to buy today, just sit back and relax. Federal Financial Group is a national company representing several insurance companies and other financial institutions with billions of dollars of assets, some of which have been in business for over 100 years. What we do is teach people about money, how it works, and how to make it work better for you. Specifically, our goal is one thing: to help people become financially independent. Now, what that means is the interest that you're earning on the money that you have put away replaces what you normally would make from a business or salary. At that point, you don't have to work anymore. You can if you choose to, but you don't have to. That's financial independence. Now, wouldn't you like to know how to get there the soonest? That's where I'm headed. What I want to do is focus on some of the issues and challenges that face us today, then talk about the solutions. First off, look at the last 10 years. Incomes have risen, yes, but living expenses keep going up and up. And for many Americans, there's no real way that incomes have kept up with housing and a lot of things. So what happens is people tend to get into debt. Lack of security steps in, poor saving habits ensue, and it creates some real problems. Now here's my point. Out of 100 people turning 65 today, only 4 of them are financially secure. Only 4. The other 96 are not. So what's their situation? Many rely on family, many rely on charity, but probably the majority of them are still working. Look at all the seniors working at Walmart. Just the other day, it was amazing. I was at Wendy's, and you know how sometimes they have some older people working there. It was about 2 in the afternoon. I was eating a chicken sandwich, and there was an older lady working there. I mean, she was big time old, like 78 years old, and she was down on one knee, scraping gum up off the floor. Now, this isn't her hobby. She's out of money, and see, there's the problem, and it's getting worse because we're living longer. I guarantee you, when she was our age, she wasn't thinking that she'll be doing that at her age. Now, here are the solutions. What we do is we work in key areas involving 7 steps that we use to help you build your financial future. We weave these steps together to help a person increase their cash flow, get out of debt, reduce taxes, and retire sooner if desired. The goal is to obtain financial independence much quicker. So I'm going to rip through these really quickly. Stop me if you have any questions, but keep in mind the specific areas that you have your biggest needs or biggest priorities, and then we'll develop a strategy for that later on. Step 1 is inspect what you expect. In order to have more money later on for your future goals and dreams, you have to know what you're spending your money on now. Part of understanding how money works and how to make it work better for you is to know where your money is going. We're going to introduce you to a tool that will let you track your earnings and expenditures so you can inspect what you expect. Now, the goal here is to find extra money that you didn't know you had. And you can use that extra cash to pay off debts or apply toward future dreams to possibly shave years off of that retirement date. Step 2 is increasing your cash flow. Now, Melissa, how would you define cash flow? Great, that's a good definition. Let's also define cash flow as monthly cash flow is what's left over at the end of each month after money comes in and expenses and bills go out. We work with companies that specialize in increasing cash flow by reducing the cost of servicing your debt. For example, let me ask you another question. At the end of the year, do you get a tax refund or do you owe taxes? It's interesting that you said that. At the end of the year, do you get a tax refund or do you owe taxes? It's interesting that you said that. We have a recent client who said he usually get $2,500 to $3,000 back each year. And we said, so you're telling me that you're paying the government to keep your money for a little over a year and then allowing them to give it back to you with zero interest? And he said, yeah, it doesn't make sense. And you know what? It doesn't. We can take that money as it's being earned and put it back into your budget so that it makes more money for you instead of the government. In step 3, what we want to do here is help people eliminate debt. And we have 2 plans to help people eliminate debt. Plan A is the debt eliminator. Here's the actual client. They have a mortgage of $144,000, a car loan of $39,000, credit card of $10,000, store credit card of $1,200. Now, if they paid this according to plan, they'll be out of debt in 26.8 years. Now, if they followed the debt eliminator, they're going to have the same debt, same monthly payment, and no refinances, and they're going to be debt free in 13.1 years, and that's including the mortgage. Now, plan B involves a mortgage. Do you have a mortgage? How much do you owe? How much is your home worth? What's the interest rate? What's your monthly payment? Does that include taxes and insurance? What's your FICO score? Okay. Here's a typical family structure. They have a first and second mortgage, car loans, credit cards, store credit cards, for a total debt of $206,000 with a monthly payment of $1,937. Now, what they chose is the debt consolidation plan. With the debt consolidation, it frees up some extra cash for them to build an emergency fund or pay down some debt. Now, their new monthly payment becomes $1,192. That's a savings monthly of $745 and an annual savings of $8,940. Now, their question here was, do we do a 15 or 30-year mortgage? Let's look at the time and value of money. With the 15-year mortgage, their monthly payment is going to be $1,716 a month for 15 years. Now, once they're out of debt, they're going to continue to take that $1,715 a month and put it in savings for the next 15 years, where they could have a possible $593,801. Now, if they did a 30-year mortgage, their mortgage payment is going to become $1,192. That's $524 difference per month. Now, if they take that $524 and put it in a savings for 30 years, they could have a possible $780,948, a difference of $187,000. Wow. Basically, in step 3, we help people with a tool that helps them manage their debt, eliminate it sooner, and not let their debt manage them. Step 4 is a biggie as well, creating an emergency fund. What I find is most people don't have one. So when an emergency comes up, out comes the plastic. And that $1,800 new transmission, 3 to 4 years later, become a $3,000 to $4,000 transmission. See, now that's what's hurting people. A sound emergency fund has 4 factors. It's got to be safe, liquid, have a better interest rate than a checking account, and be separate and systematic. Now, here's the point. Have you ever tried to build an emergency fund in a checking account? Never happens. It's free game. It'll get spent. Now, here's the point. If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. So we encourage a separate account, such as a money market account, where you can have drafted, say, $50 a month out of your checking account right into your money market account on the same day every month. So it's out of sight and out of mind and growing at a better interest rate. So when things happen, you've got the money. And it not only keeps your credit card balances at zero, it also helps prevent you from digging into your retirement savings as well and avoiding that 10% tax penalty. It's simple, it's powerful, and it works. Step 5 is utilizing life insurance to provide proper protection against the loss of life, which leads to the loss of income. And it's pretty devastating where mom and dad have 3 kids and then suddenly dad is gone. Something happens, it's devastating, and once dad is gone, so is his income. Have you seen that before? Now who's going to pay the house payments, the food, the light bills? That's what's devastating, right? Part of a good financial plan is proper insurance to replace income, and it also sets up an immediate estate. Here we do things a little different. We look at a person's financial needs and we bring back options that help people save money while increasing their cash flow and helping them get set up with the proper amount of life insurance. Step 6 is the biggest one. And if you will listen to me, this could change your quality of life. This is the one that everyone likes the best. Step 6 is building a long-term income or long-term savings. There's 2 elements at play here. 2 financial battles you must win in order to win the money game. Because if you don't incorporate these, now can I be strong with you? The chances of you becoming financially independent probably won't happen. And if it does, it's way out there. Here are the 2 battles that you must win. Number 1 is the inflation battle, and you'll learn why in a minute. Number 2 is the tax battle, because it's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. And taxes can hurt you if you're not careful. Let's talk about inflation. Have you heard of the rule of 72? Let me explain it. It's really interesting. But whatever interest rate you're saving at, say 4%, you divide that into the number 72, and it tells you how many years it takes for your money to double. 4 into 72 is 18. So your money would double every 18 years. Here's the example. Let's say you put $100 in an account earning 4%. In 18 years, that's going to double to $200. Now what happens in the next 18 years at 4%? Right, it doubles again to $400. Now here's the problem. 36 years from now, will $400 buy what $100 does now? That's inflation. So Melissa, if people are saving, where are they saving? Banks, credit unions, fixed accounts, but they're probably not even getting 4%. So you can see what's happening. Money is growing, but inflation is growing much quicker. They're losing purchasing power and may never retire. Big problem. So here's the solution. If we could help them obtain a potentially better interest rate, say a person could get 6 to 12%. Look at this example. Let's assume that you're 29 years old and you have $10,000 at 4%. 4 into 72 is 18. So your $10,000 in 36 years grow to $40,000. Now you're 65, the kids are gone, the house is paid for, and you want to retire. But you only have $40,000 to your name. Now, how long is that going to last you? The way you spend probably half that time. Just kidding. But maybe a year, maybe a little longer if you're really frugal. But then your money's gone and you're a greeter at Walmart. Here's the problem. We've run out of time. And who wants to work past 65? The only thing we could have changed was interest rates. And here's the million-dollar question. If you would have had 6 to 12% instead of 4%, would you now have greater financial independence? The answer is yes. Look at this. At 6%, your money doubles every 12 years. At 8%, it doubles every 9 years. And at 12%, it doubles every 6 years. So in 36 years, at age 65, you now have $640,000. Isn't that amazing? The only difference between this guy and that guy is interest rate. Not more money or more time. Same age, same amount of money. The only difference was interest rates. But it cost this guy $600,000. Now, isn't that a pretty important principle for you to learn? But get this, it ain't about having $10,000. The real key is saving a little bit on a monthly basis at a decent interest rate. And if you will save for you at a decent interest rate, there may come a time when you're not out earning your money, but your money's actually out earning you. Pretty awesome, huh? Now here's the million-dollar question. Where can I get a decent rate of return and yet have protection of principal and be guaranteed not to lose any money. There's actually 3 different strategies. I'm going to give you a synopsis of each one, and you let me know which one makes the most sense for you, so I know what's suitable for you when we get back together. The first approach is the fixed rate approach. When you get a guaranteed fixed rate, approximately 2 to 3%, maybe less, which may be risky because of inflation. Now, the second approach is the different end of the spectrum, stock markets or mutual funds, where there's a potential for higher returns or the greater risk of losing your money. And a lot of people have, because it's been pretty dicey lately. Now, the third way is the index strategy, where all principal saved is protected, all interest earned is also protected, so you don't lose any money. All interest earned is linked to what the S&P 500 stock index does. And for the past 25 years, it's averaged nearly 10% a year. Now, those 3, which one makes the most sense for you? The index strategy, that's a very popular strategy. Let's talk about it for a minute. You've heard of the S&P 500, right? The S&P 500 stock index are the 500 most widely held companies in the U.S., representing over 100 industry groups, such as technology, healthcare, utilities. In fact, the S&P 500 represents almost 70% of the total domestic equity market capitalization, about 70% of the American economy. But get this, the S&P 500 has averaged nearly 10% a year for the past 25 years. Now, if you would have invested in the S&P 500 25 years ago and averaged nearly 10% a year, you'd be happy, right? Now, when we get back together, we've determined that the index strategy is suitable for you. At that time, I'll explain the specific products, costs, floors, caps, and other terms and conditions. But for now, let me give you an overview of the index strategy and how the interest crediting works. All interest earned is linked to the S&P 500 up to a cap, for example, 12%, but without any of the downside risk associated with putting your money directly into the stock market. So you see, all your money is protected from any downside market loss, but at the same time, you participate in the growth of the S&P 500 up to a cap, for example, 12%, but without any downside risk of putting your money directly into the market. That should be pretty important, don't you think? Here's an example. Let's assume that, let's say you put $10,000 into the index strategy a few years back. In the first year, the S&P 500 does 10%. Your account goes to $11,000. In year 2, it does 10% again. Your account goes to $12,100. Now in year 3, the S&P 500 loses 20%. Now, is that possible? Absolutely, it happened. But instead of your account value losing the 20% and dropping down to $9,600 in year 3, you remain at $12,100. So you can see why the index strategy is quickly becoming one of our most popular. Now, one of the best ways to win the rate of return in inflation battle is to be able to get a potentially higher interest rate and yet protect your principal from loss. But Melissa, you can't just win the rate of return battle and forget about taxes. In fact, I'm going to show you an example that may shock you on how it's important to employ both the rate of return and the tax battle. Let's say 30 years ago, a man 30 years of age wanted to have $1 million by the time he was 60. Now, he didn't know any of this. He didn't understand any of this. So he goes into the bank and he says, "Mr. Banker, how much money do I have to save every month for 30 years to have $1 million?" Back then, the CD rates were 5%. Now they're 2 to 3%, but back then they were 5%. The banker did the figures and he said, you need to set aside exactly $1,639.29 a month for 30 years at 5%, and you'll have your $1 million. The man was so discouraged, he left the bank and never saved a dime. Now he's a greeter at Walmart. You've seen him, right? Now, what if we could have taught him how to win these 2 battles, the rate of return battle and the tax battle? Let's see how it drops that number. It's almost unbelievable. Let's win one at a time, the rate of return. Now, what if he could have gotten 10% instead of 5%? that drops that number clear down to $900. Now, Melissa, can most people save $900 a month? Probably not, but however, it's $700 less than this guy. That's pretty significant, right? Now, what if we can show him where he can put his money where it's not taxed while it grows? So with tax deferral, how much do he have to put away? Look at that, $438 a month. Now, Melissa, do you know people that can save $438 a month? A lot of people. Hey, you can do that, right? You're blowing that, right? See, to a lot of people, that's not a big deal. It's not about putting away a ton. It's about putting away what you can at a decent interest rate, reducing taxes and avoiding loss of principals. In fact, in step 6, when we're done, a person will know how and when they'll be potentially financially independent. And if we do it right, we can literally shave years off of that retirement date. Now, Melissa, let me ask you this. If you were financially independent right now, and you had enough in your nest egg that you never had to go to work again, what would you and your husband be doing? What's your dreams? What's your goals? What would you be doing? That's great. But get this. If you're financially independent, you have options. And that's the point. You can do what you want, when you want, how you want. In fact, it was interesting. The other day, we did an implementation with a client. That's our second visit. The wife was so excited. She gets up and she says, you know what? I can go door to door and ask all my neighbors when would they be financially independent. Nobody would know, but I do. And you know what? At that time, her and her husband became one, because they knew what their dreams were and when it was going to happen. So it's exciting. That's step 6. The last step is estate planning. A lot of times, using a trust upon death, you can leave a legacy instead of headaches and possible tax burdens for your survivors. A trust can help you avoid probate and protect against liabilities. It's also important to have a will, living will, power of attorney, that type of thing. Are you concerned about who will make your medical, legal, financial decisions if you're unable to? Are you concerned about who will receive your assets when you pass away? Are you interested in creating or updating a will or a trust? Let me ask you, do you already have an attorney or an advisor that you work with on your estate planning issues? Yes? Great. So that's step 7. So those are the 7 steps. Kind of neat, aren't they? Now, Melissa, let me ask you a very important question. Of these 7 steps, if you had to narrow it down to the 2 that has the biggest priority in your life, between increasing cash flow, eliminating debt, developing an emergency fund, life insurance protection, building long-term financial independence, and tax planning, which is critical, and estate planning. If you only could pick 2, which 2 would they be? Good choices. Let me tell you what we do. What we do is called a financial needs analysis, so that we can make sure that the products that we offer are suitable for you. So in a second, I'm going to ask you a few questions to help determine what your needs are and what your goals and dreams are. Then I'm going to take this back to my office, where we have a very sophisticated software program. And then we'll input your information, and it'll help us to develop a plan of attack for your specific needs. And it's going to help you to become one thing: financially independent the soonest. It's awesome. Now let me tell you the cost of this. I will expect is some hot chocolate chip cookies, fresh out of the oven, which you personally baked.
And a tall cup of milk. Just kidding. You was getting too serious. I had to throw that out there. Let me explain how we really get paid so that you will know. The companies that you choose to link up with and help you with your specific goals, they pay us a referral fee or commissions. So you won't get a bill for services rendered by us. So it's a win-win scenario. However, the information that I bring back to you,
It's only going to be as accurate as what we put in. So I need you to work with me here. We're talking about your financial future. And if we do this right, it could potentially shave years off of your retirement date. Now, the first 3 or 4 questions are going to be yes or no answers. I can't have maybes. This is going to help me with your short and mid-term goals and where we're headed. Now, in the next 2 to 3 years, do you plan on making any major purchases? Man, Melissa, it is going to be awesome when we get back together in a day or 2. Melissa, you have $500 that we can work with. Man, when we get back together, you're going to have a crystal clear picture of how and when you could be potentially totally financially independent, fulfilling all your goals and dreams. You're going to love it, but you're going to need to listen. And I'm going to spend some time on this because I know that you're serious, so I'm going to be serious. All right? It's going to be awesome. Melissa, this is going to change the quality of your life, and you're going to owe me big. Now, it's very important that we build upon what we talked about today. So we're going to need to set a time within the next 24 to 48 hours. But if we need to go clear out to next week, I have to recapitulate everything that we just covered. So we need to get back together as soon as we can, because this is your life that we're talking about here. So with that in mind, what does your schedule look like for tomorrow? I have a 10 a.m. and a 3 p.m. open. Which would you prefer? Before I leave, let me ask you a couple of very important questions. If when I come back, if I can show you a plan that meets your needs in every way, and you're totally comfortable with it, is there any reason that we can't do business? And when we do business, is there any reason that you wouldn't feel comfortable providing the names of 3 or 4 people that you feel could benefit from my services in the same way that I'm going to help you?